Hi and welcome to another tutorial. In today's lesson we'll learn how to recreate this cool looking futuristic background effect using Photoshop and After Effects. So anyways guys, let's jump in. So the first thing that we need to have here is we need to have some stock footage. So I just went to VectorEasy and I just found this man who's talking on the phone and he's got a laptop in front of him. Now the reason why I've chose this image is because it's shot on a tripod and therefore there's not much movement in the actual shot, which is good for what we need to do. So all you need to do is download this and then we'll take it into After Effects. So here we are in After Effects and all we need to do is just go File, Import and import our clip. So now that we have our clip imported, we're just going to drag it to the timeline and we'll leave all the composition settings the same. And all we need to do is we just need to, pull up a frame and we need to export it. So to do that, we go to Composition, we can go Same Frame As, and then we can click on File. So now you just want to save it as a PSD, and then once you save that, we'll take it into Photoshop. So here we are in Photoshop, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to import my image. So I'm just going to click this button down here and I'm going to import my image just like that. Now we need to take the lock off the background and we can actually delete that last layer, and now we're left with the man just like that. So I am going to press Command T to just scale him down a little bit. So let's say, for example, maybe we might go to about 70%. All right, and then I'm just going to put him back in the middle, just like that. I'm just going to press enter. And now what we can do is now we can start to use Gen Fill to fill in all of the areas over here. So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab a lasso tool and I'm just going to quickly draw around the man and the laptop. And I'll probably go to about down there, maybe like that, just so I have a selection. Now, the next thing that we need to do is we need to invert that selection and then we can generate the fill. So what I searched up was futuristic background with cinematic and natural light and windows. And if I click on generate, now it will give me these various options. And I know it's a little bit different to the one I started with, so I'm going to go back to that one. But you can see, what you can do with Photoshop. The only other thing that I did is for the desk, I created another mask, maybe something like that. And then I did Gen Fill again and I just, searched for maybe futuristic desk solid. And you can see what it generates. So there are some pretty cool options. So something like that would be good where you don't see the guy's legs. But like I said, I'm going to revert back to my original one from the start of the clip. So here we have the background and the little desk, and I also put a little bag in there. And then what I did is I just merged those layers together. So you can right click and go merge. So now I have the background and I have the cutout of the man. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save that and we're going to take that back into After Effects. So here we are in After Effects, and the first thing that we need to do is we need to create a new composition. I'm just going to run with a 1920 by 1080 pixel document, 30 FPS at around about 15 seconds. Press OK. Now once you have that, then we can import our footage. So you need to import the actual man clip that we downloaded from the start, as well as the PSD file. So when we import the PSD file, you want to make sure that we import it as a composition with editable layer styles, and we're just going to press OK. So now we've got our clip at the bottom, and I'm just going to scale that down to fit this resolution. So we'll scale that down to 50% because it was a 4K clip. And I'm just going to put the edited man as well in here, and I'm just going to scale that down to about 50% as well. So now what we need to do is we need to merge the two clips together. So if I press T for opacity, you can kind of see what is happening here. The top clip is still a bit too big. So what we need to do is I just need to press S. I'm just going to zoom in for now, and I'm just going to try and line it up as best I can. There you go, something like that. And then what we need to do is we're just going to put this underneath. Cool, so now once you've lined it up and you've taken away the man in this pre-comp, Then what we need to do is just make sure we press T for opacity and bring up the opacity back, and now we have the man back in there. Now, it looks pretty decent so far, but we have a few issues there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go onto this top layer, and we're just going to create a very simple mask. So I'm just going to create maybe a mask like that, and I'm just going to click inverted, and now that looks a little bit better. Now, the only other problem that we have here is the shadows on this side. So to bypass all of that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to probably start the clip from about there. And so he's already on the phone, so the shadows aren't too noticeable, but you can also mask them out if you like as well, but I'm pretty happy with that. So now I just scrubbed through all of the clip, and there's no, masking that needs to be done there. So I think that's pretty cool. So now we're going to move on to the next step. So the next step that we need to do is we need to add some rain. So I'm just going to add an adjustment layer. I'm going to search for an effect called CC Rain. And then I'm just going to bring the opacity up to 100. If you just play that, you can see what's happening there. And I mean, if you want to change any of these things, more drops, less drops, to different sizes as well. Maybe we'll bring this up to about 5. You can change the speed if you like. So if you want it to be slower, you can add some wind as well. And we can add some variation as well. You can go pretty crazy on this. So I'm pretty happy with that. The next thing that we need to do is we just need to set a mask on the actual windows, because that's where we want it to be. So I'm just going to grab the pen tool and create a mask here. And now it's stuck to those windows. That looks pretty cool, but now we can do the same thing for the other side. And there you go. The mask doesn't even have to be that perfect. So now what we have is we have 2 masks with the rain falling, and I think that looks pretty cool. So the next thing that we can do is we can add a 3D object. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get a futuristic car. I'm just going to have it animate from one side to the next. So for the 3D car, I've just gone to this website, which is called Sketchfab, and I just searched for a flying car, and this is what it's given me. Looks pretty cool. And that's exactly what we are going to have flying through our window. So when I go and download this, I click on the download button, and I want to download the GLB file. Download this, and then we'll put it back into After Effects. So here we are in After Effects, and to import our file, we just go File Import. And as you can see, we've downloaded the star car. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to drag that to a new composition. I'm just going to press OK. And then what we need to do is we need to really scale it down just so that we can see it. So I'm probably going to leave it at something like that. And if you want to rotate it or anything like that, you can move it around, etc. And there's the car right there, and I think that's looking pretty cool. So now what we can do is we can go and we can drag that pre-comp to our main composition. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it over here, and I'm just going to set the kind of the width of that area to that window. So it doesn't have to be full on perfect, but just as long as it sits in there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change the blend mode to, let's say, hard light, so it just blends in a little bit better. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to work on the animation in here. So I'm going to have the car start off over here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the transform properties. I'm going to hit the position. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go forward in time, maybe 4 seconds, and I'm going to have it go to the other side. So now when we play that back, it's quite slow, but pretty cool. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit of a kind of change in direction there. So it kind of swings up, as well as I'm going to change the orientation as well. So I'll start the orientation over there, but by the time it gets over here, I'm going to change that final axis over there. So, and I'm going to put that over there. So you can see that now it's starting to kind of bend away. So, and if you want to change the speed or anything like that, you can hold Option, highlight all the keyframes, and then drag your keyframes. So that will make the animation much faster. So now if we go back to our main comp, you can see what is happening here. Now we have the flying car going on the side like that. So that's looking pretty cool. The final thing that we can do is just dress it up a little bit. So if we add another new adjustment layer, and we just put this on top, and we'll search for an effect called Lumetri Color. I'm just going to go down to the creative settings, and then I'm going to search for the SL Gold Rush. And this time I'm using the HDR version, and I'm just going to dial that back a bit to maybe something like 80 or so. Now we have the car flying in the background, the rain, the guy, and it just brings all the colors together. I think that looks cool. And the final thing that we can do is we can add some noise. So if we just go and search for the effect called noise, and we add about 10%, now we have a cool looking scene with the car flying off in the background. So I think that looks pretty cool. And then, you know, you can obviously cut your work area to here and then just export that. So that's how you create a futuristic office scene using Adobe Photoshop and After Effects. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you guys in the next video.